Hey guys, today I wanted to talk about an element of marathon training that is often misunderstood and poorly executed, and that is the marathon taper. The marathon taper is those last few weeks of your training before your race where you gradually decrease your mileage. Lightening your training load over this period gives you the opportunity for your body to recover, you to rest, and then for everything to be in optimal condition on race day. A marathon training schedule is a really intense period for any runner, so naturally we start to feel a little bit burned out and exhausted. That's why your training mileage should actually peak somewhere between 2 and 4 weeks before your big race, after your longest long run, because then it gives you this period to dial things down a bit. In this video, we're going to look at why you should taper, how to think about tapering, how to taper. We'll look at the sort of mileage and type of workouts you should be doing. We'll also talk about the 3 biggest mistakes runners make regarding the marathon taper. If you're watching this, it's likely because you're training for a marathon, so feel free to check out my resources below. We've got free marathon training plans for just about every ability level and every marathon goal, all of which have the taper dialed in already. Likewise, if you're new to my videos, feel free to hit the subscribe button and then tap the bell icon. That way you'll support the channel and you'll also get a heads up whenever I upload a new video. Otherwise, let's get into the marathon taper. The weeks and months you've spent building up your training mileage prior to your taper take their toll on your body. Your athletic performance will be hampered by this constant training. So there's a lot of things going on with a taper period, but the 2 main benefits are: 1, your muscles get a chance to repair themselves, so will be more powerful on marathon day. All that running is said to create micro tears and cause muscle tissue damage, which doesn't really get a chance to heal in the midst of an intense training regime. So your taper lets your muscles rest up so they're in optimum condition on race day. 2 is your body's energy reserves get a chance to replenish. With the reduction in training load, your body's going to begin to stockpile more fuel, which serves you well on race day. In other words, the taper is all about locking in the gains you've already made during training so you arrive at the start line of your marathon in the best possible condition. Other benefits of the taper include allowing you a mental break from the constant training mileage increases and eliminating the risk of overtraining as you approach your race. It's important to hit home that the tapering period is about preservation of running fitness and recovery, not improvement. One helpful way to think about this is to realize that once you're in those final few weeks, you're past the point of making any performance gains. That is, once you reach that point of around 3 weeks before your marathon, there's little you can do that's actually gonna make you fitter or improve your running performance on race day. That window for athletic improvement has now closed, and all you can do now during the taper is maintain your fitness and reduce your mileage so you're in optimal condition on race day. A lot of the time, runners who feel they haven't trained sufficiently in the months before their race will try and squeeze in some last minute high mileage runs. If you wait and you do this during that taper window, there's a good chance you're going to be doing more harm than good. Your body isn't going to get a chance to recover properly from those runs, so any gains you might make from those runs in terms of endurance are compromised by the lack of recovery time. A good marathon taper is all about gradually reducing your overall training load, but not necessarily reducing the intensity of your runs. In other words, you're running less miles every week, but roughly the same speed as before. In general, your weekly mileage is going to be decreasing by around 20 to 30% each week. How this usually plays out is that those midweek training runs get a little bit shorter and your long runs get a lot shorter. So if we look at the taper period from my 4-hour marathon training plan, you'll see that the longest long run in this plan occurs 4 weeks before the marathon. It's 21 mile long run. Then subsequent long runs are 15 miles, 12 miles, then 8 miles. That 8 miles is the week before the marathon. In other words, the mileage should trend downwards fairly evenly over the taper period. You also want to dial back any speed work or intense weight training, high intensity training, or things like that during your taper. You don't need to stop it immediately, but you want to reduce the length of those workouts quite significantly. In the final week to 10 days before your marathon, you can stop all speed work and any intense strength training sessions. Just focus on your regular runs and that last slow long run. This time's a good opportunity to do your regular runs at your target marathon pace. Likewise, you want to avoid anything new or unnecessary during your taper. For example, I would steer clear of any hilly runs or any funny workout that you're maybe not that comfortable or familiar with. If you've never tried hot yoga or capoeira, now isn't the time to take it up. Now guys, it's easy to get restless during your taper. Your body has become used to burning oodles of energy each week, and suddenly you've decreased the intensity. So irritability, inability to sleep well, and energy level swings are all super common during marathon tapers. It's actually common to feel fatigue and an energy level slump, which can lead runners to feel that they've got to go back running harder in order to sort of get the mojo back. The trick here is to respect the taper, which brings me on to the 3 big mistakes marathon runners make in the taper. Number 1 is ignoring the taper. So many runners frankly don't understand or value the taper process. This is especially true when a runner feels they've left their training to the last minute and they try and squeeze in a few last minute long runs. Remember that once you're in that final taper window, your run training is about preservation and recovery, not improvement. You can't squeeze in your longest long run 10 days before your marathon. The knock-on effect on your marathon performance is going to be detrimental as opposed to positive. Mistake number 2 is over-tapering. So over-tapering means you're reducing your mileage too much or stopping training altogether. This is a common response to those feelings of sluggishness or energy level swings I mentioned earlier. Some people assume something's wrong when they get these symptoms, so they take a longer break to rest up. Unless you've got signs of actual illness, you need to stick to your taper. Too much resting isn't good. You need to keep your muscles fresh. Mistake number 3, which is probably the most common, is under tapering. A lot of runners are nervous that the taper is going to drain them of their special running abilities, especially when they start to feel that lethargy or energy mood swings slipping in after a week or so of tapering. So they put on their running shoes and they keep going for long, hard training sessions. After all, they feel like they've got the energy for it, so why not? As you can probably guess, under tapering means you're not allowing your body sufficient time to recover, which is going to inhibit your performance on marathon day. It's also increasing the risk of overtraining and injury. It's not necessary, so don't do it. In short, guys, trust the training plan and stick to the taper. The length of your taper really depends on your running history. If you've been running marathons for years, then your body's pretty well adapted to the distances and exertion levels necessary on race day, so a taper of only roughly 10 to 14 days might be necessary. On the other end of the spectrum, first-time marathon runners with little distance running experience probably going to benefit from somewhere between 3 or even 4 weeks of tapering. For most of us, the 3-week number is roughly right. So if you've got a few years of running behind you or you've done a couple of marathons before, I generally recommend 3 weeks is that sweet spot for the perfect marathon taper length. That's it for the marathon taper, guys. I hope you've learned a little bit in this video. Feel free to check out my marathon training plans in the links below, and of course the website. We've got oodles more material. It's all free on marathon training. I've also got the marathon training masterclass, which I'll link to below. It's over 6 hours of in-depth video content just like this. Guys, if you've enjoyed this video, feel free to give it a like. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next one.